Hello, friends, and welcome to an episode of A Reader and a Cinephile. So, at the end of last year, like many of you, I dropped a video that was a list of all the books that I thought I might get to in 2025. And as I thought about that list, I really thought about how do I differentiate what I have to say about books from the myriad of wonderful people who are also trying to talk about books and literature that they love. And then I got to really thinking. I've also been talking and writing about movies for almost 10 years now. As a critic, I have been published in some local newspapers. I used to have my own article. I have published reviews for other websites. I've talked about them on podcasts. And then I've been publishing reviews on my own website for nearly 10 years now. At this point in time, I've probably reviewed close to 500 films. And so this got me thinking as I approach this sort of new world talking about books, is there a way to combine my love of film with my love of literature? So here we are. That idea is born. It is a reader and a cinephile. So this is sort of the ground rules of how we're going to operate while we're together. I want to provide positive recommendations. It is not my goal to talk about things that I don't like. I'm not going to spend my energy on things that I don't like. I want to surprise and help you discover things. I read some, I read a lot of popular books, but I read a lot of obscure stuff as well. I see a lot of popular movies. I'll be there for the new Captain America movie, but I also see a lot of independent film. So I want to help you discover stuff that you may not know is out there. I want you to know that I'm not the world's fastest reader. If you're coming to this channel or this space for someone that reads 12, 15 books a month and has a list of 100 books that they read every year, I'm not your guy. I have too many other hobbies that sort of steal my attention from the page, but I will always be honest with you about the things that I'm really digging. I am not someone that has a degree in film. I've never made a movie. I'm just an avid lover of film, and I'm someone who knows what he likes and absolutely knows what he does not like. So I just try to stay deeply curious, and I would encourage you to do the same. Anybody who has a sense of curiosity about the world around them, I think will find a space here. And I'm always seeking to grow. The books that I really love, the films that I really love, are pushing me forward and helping me grow in some way. So let's get started. In January, I finished 3 books, and all of them were 4 stars and above. But one book in particular really left me in awe. The book is The Second Mountain by David Brooks. David Brooks is a longtime columnist for the New York Times. He's also been on the PBS NewsHour. He has written several books, but this is the first one of his that I've ever read. For years now, it began with sort of a search of mine to find a religious community outside of the one that I grew up in. I've discovered Buddhism and meditation, and so much of that work is about your own ego. Here lately, I've really trying to dive into the work of Stoicism, and I'm also always constantly trying to read books that I think will have me stop, pause, and question my own ego. This book does that. The first mountain that we all encounter is that mountain of ego, but that second mountain is community. And this book asks us to sit back and wonder how we are showing up in our professions, how we are showing up in our relationships, how we are showing up in our community, how we are showing up in our commitment to each other. It is filled with profound and deep insight. There are quotes from other deep thinkers and authors and leaders on almost every single page, and I found myself resonating with each thing that they had to say. David really collects these quotes in a really profound way, and they always leave a mark. In so many of these pages, I found myself in complete agreement and awe. But I wasn't reading this book just to find someone that sees the world in the same way that I do. I was reading this book to be challenged, and it did precisely that. So, if you find yourself sort of searching, if you are trying to get your ego in check, if you are trying to do this work, if you are questioning how you are showing up in both your professional and personal spaces, I cannot recommend this book enough. In fact, I give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I think you'll really love it. So, now the film recommendation. I saw 23 films last month, and I am really lucky. A good friend of mine, always this time of year, purchases a streaming package from the Sundance Film Festival. A group of us friends always gather together and we watch a bunch of films. And the film that I'm going to recommend this month is the first film that I watched of that streaming package. It's also my first 2025 film. I was so blown away by it. The name of the film is The Perfect Neighbor. In the wake of the George Floyd murder, this country launched into a conversation about the role of police officers in our community. And one of the things that was born out of that conversation was that we, as a people, thought that at the very least, all police officers should be wearing body cams. It was shortly after that conversation that I even began to think, man, I wonder if you can piece some of that together to create a documentary. And the answer is yes, and it is A Perfect Neighbor. The Perfect Neighbor takes place in a regular, a regular small but rural sort of suburban-ish Florida community, and that it's in Florida is really important. The there the neighborhood, I think, is a dream neighborhood for most people. It's multicultural. Kids are often outside playing, riding bikes, playing games. But for one neighbor in this community, that's just not something that can stand. She feels like the kids are taunting her, that they are constantly in her yard, that they are messing with her things, that they are actively harassing her. She calls the cops often, almost every day, it feels like, and she is sort of abusing the police officers to get these kids away from her. And she can feel like a Karen quite often, but you can feel this film escalating into violence. And on a warm summer's eve, a confrontation happens, and a mother of one of these kids comes over to confront this neighbor. This neighbor feels threatened and shoots this woman dead. All of the confrontations or sort of their impact are caught on body cam footage. So is the death of the mother, and it is such a heartbreaking scene to behold. We also see the neighbor being interrogated by the police, and we see sort of the ramifications of Florida's stand your ground law. This is a law that's not just in Florida, it is in several other states as well. But it really left me questioning something out loud again that I've been questioning for a long time is what happens in a country when people have easy access to weapons, and what happens when those people may be mentally unfit to hold a weapon. And I think the answer is you get the violence and the heartbreak that you witness in this movie. So I think this movie contributes to a very necessary and vital conversation. I hope it changes legislation. I hope it changes hearts and minds. I find the best films sort of that's their aim. So that is The Perfect Neighbor. I give it 4 out of 5 stars, and I hope you'll give it a chance. So that said, those are my two recommendations for the month. I give 5 out of 5 stars to The Second Mountain by David Brooks, and I give 4 out of 5 stars to The Perfect Neighbor. Until next time, I want you to be good to each other. Thank you for joining me here, and we'll chat again.